Okay, welcome back. We're doing Square Dash 2.0, and I just noticed here that the title still has the untitled part in there, so I'm taking that away. One thing to note, if you ever are needing to save things up here, as soon as you make a change, so I'll put some code in here just for fun. This move 10 steps, I'll just put down here to do nothing. It'll say save now up there. This thing does save automatically, but not every second. So if it says save now up there, you can click on that and it'll save your project. One thing I haven't said is that you need to create an account with scratch.mit.edu or with Scratch in order to save your game online. If you don't, you'll have to save it and save it to your go to File and go save to your computer. You can do it that way and load from your computer. And I don't know if it'll automatically, well, it won't automatically save, so I have to do that. So I hope you have all your game from last video. Sorry I didn't mention that beforehand. But initially I made this video for students in my class that already have an account, so I kind of forgot about that. Okay, today, or right now, we're going to make this player jump. So right now you can see we have a game that we press the play button. We have bricks that go across the screen, and we have this main player drop to the bricks. And that's it for now. So we are now going to make this player able to jump. So I've just stopped my game for now. We've used this variable drop speed as kind of like our gravity. Right now it's set to -2, which is a little bit slow. We'll probably amp that up in a moment here. And we're now going to create a jump event. And so I'm just going to use this. And this is in player, by the way. I'm going to go to the events, and the one that says when space key is pressed, bring that one out. So you can use a space key, or you could use any of these things. Our up arrow would be another good choice, or maybe you want to use the W key, depending on what you want to do. Doesn't matter. I'm going to use space key. And when I jump, we're just going to set the jump speed. Now, I haven't made jump speed yet, so I'm going to go to variables, make a variable, and call one jump speed. And again, you could call it vertical speed or VSP. You'll see a lot of games that use that kind of naming, but I'm just going to call it jump speed. And I'm going to set jump speed, so I'm going to bring out set drop speed and change that to jump speed. And I'm going to set this to 20, just for now. And we'll find out if that's not a nice jump. We'll alter that variable and make it nice. Now, that's just for when the space key is pressed. Now we need to create the code to make it jump, and so we're going to do that after it hits the brick. Then we're going to allow it to jump, and all we're going to do there is we're going to create a repeat. So I'm trying to make some distance between these two bits of code here so I can put stuff in there. And so under control, you're going to bring the repeat until, and what we're going to do here is actually, before this, we should maybe set our jump speed. I'll set it up here. Initially, you want to set your variables, so it's a good idea to do that. That's okay. I'm going to set my jump speed to 0 initially. Okay. And now once it's on this, it's going to touch the brick there. Now I'm going to create some code that it will basically it'll keep changing during the game. It'll keep changing the vertical height based on the jump speed and the drop speed. So first thing is I want to put in under motion. I'm going to go change Y by 10. I'm going to bring that in there, and I'm not going to change it by 10. I'm going to change it on based on drop speed and jump speed. So I'm going to bring those two variables out. I'm going to add them together using an operator, and I'm going to put that inside of the change Y by. So drop speed, which is -2 right now, jump speed, which is nothing, and it'll continue to change that. Now, there's a few things I got to put in here. Like basically, I got to check to see if it's actually touching the yeah. I should see if it's actually touching the platform. Now it is touching the platform after this, so I don't want this to be too clunky. But anyway, I'm going to put in here set the drop speed to 0, because right now I set it to -2. It kept dropping until it touched the brick, and so it should be at 0 right now. So jump speed is at 0, drop speed is at 0. So when it first does this, change y by drop speed plus jump speed, it's going to be change y by 0 plus 0. So it's going to be no change there. But we're going to keep repeating doing that. So when drop speed changes, jump speed changes, it will change. And here, let's just see how this works right now, so you can get a sense. So the main character falls on the brick. The jump speed and drop speed are both 0. If I press the space key, got some other window coming up here. There we go. If I click on the space key, you can see that jump speed is 20, and it keeps changing y by 0 plus 20, which is 20, 20, 20. So it'll go to as high as it can, which is not exactly what we want to do. We want it to jump up a little bit and then fall back to the ground. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to, if the jump speed, we're going to bring out an if event, or if control, and if then. And this space key thing, I'm just going to move to the side here. Actually, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that I can move it all the way up here. Okay, and we'll zoom back in. All right, and I'll move that to the side for now. So, if your jump speed is if it's greater than 0, what we want to do, so for instance, if it's 20, we want it to slowly, so if it's greater than, it's greater than 0, we want it to slowly get smaller and smaller. So that's what this if statement is going to do. And so we're going to go to variables, we're going to change, we got drop speed there, so we'll change it to jump speed by, let's go -1. Okay, and so what this does as it loops around, if jump speed was 20, and now it's going to be 19, then 18, and so on. All right, and it's going to slowly go down like that. And then if touching the brick, we're going to, sorry, let me think about this. Once it touches the brick again, we're going to change, yeah, okay. Let's bring it on an if-else statement. Sorry, I'm thinking of things, and I'm not saying all the things I'm thinking out loud. But if we're going to check to see if it's touching the brick. So let's go to sensing, touching mouse pointer. We'll bring that in there. Change the mouse pointer to the brick. So if it's touching the brick, we want to do a couple things. We want to first set the drop speed to 0. So it's under variables. Okay. Otherwise, meaning it's in the air somewhere, then we want to set drop speed to, like we were using -2. -2 is a little bit too slow. Let's go -10 for now. Okay, so now the jump speed and the drop speed are going to compete with one another. And if we do it right, it should look quite nice. Okay, so let's just see with just this code in here what happens. I'll move myself around here again. So it hits the ground there. Now if I press the space key, you'll notice the jump speed goes up to 20. And the drop speed activates. And you can see that it falls back. Now I can adjust things here. I don't mind this jump right now. It's kind of nice. So maybe I'll keep it. But I could certainly change things. Now one other thing we notice in Geometry Dash is that the main player usually flips. or spins in the air when it jumps, and so we can do that. But right now we have a nice jump. Feels like a natural jump because it's based mainly on how gravity would work when you jump. Okay. So what do we need to do when it jumps? We also need to have it spin in the air. All right. So let me just think about how we're going to spin this thing. And again, I'm wanting to do it similar to how I've done it in the past here. So okay, I think I did it down here. Yeah. So, okay. So we have the drop speed to negative 10 when it's in the air, and that's where we're going to actually spin this thing to. And so that's under looks. It's not under looks, it's under motion. Go to motion, and we're going to grab the turn 15 degrees. And you can have it spin backwards, but I'm going to have it spinning forwards. And 15 degrees, if we just take a look at this here, I wonder if I can press, no I can't. Here's a pro tip too, if you click on the top of something like that, you'll run that code. And now if I press, oh, of course there's no, okay. I was trying to do a shortcut there, but there's no bricks going by, so let's just do this here. So, it hits the bricks here. If I press the space key, you can see that it spins. And right now it's spinning quite a bit of a rotation, and I only want to spin about half, like maybe flip it upside down. So it's almost spinning a full rotation, so 15 degrees is too much. And I found that 8.5 is pretty good in the past. So that looks like it's about a half rotation. Now, the direction I want to start with here should be, I want it to be about 9 degrees. Yeah, 9 degrees is facing that direction, so that when it spins, it lands on about 90 degrees here, which it is. It's not quite right, like maybe 8.6 would be better. You could try that. First, let me set this to 90. Yeah, it's still not perfect. That's closer though. Okay, I'm okay with 8.6. Okay. Now you'll notice it's on a slightly not 90 degree angle here, and so that's one thing we need to include in this code is to set it in that direction. So when I receive level 1, I'm going to tell it to point in 9 degrees, then go to that location there. So now when I run this thing, it'll be perfectly square, and then when I drop it, and it's jumping, it should spin nearly perfect. It's not being completely perfect, and that's okay because we're going to sometimes have other levels, and we don't necessarily want it to do a full spin. There is some code in there that we're going to help correct it when it lands, so that it's sitting at either 90 degrees, 180, negative 90, or 0 degrees. So we'll put that in pretty soon here, but it'll make the code look extremely complicated. So okay, the other thing we have right now, I'll just show you this, is that right now we can double jump. In fact, we can jump without being on the brick. So I can actually, if I keep pressing the space key, I can jump in the air, which is not what you want, ultimately. So we're going to fix that right now. So we're going to take away the ability to double jump. Now to do that, what we need to do is, let me just, give me a second here. What we need to do is, sorry, put my person there. We're gonna create another variable, and we're gonna call it can jump. It's kind of like a question mark. So I'm gonna make a variable. I'm gonna call it can jump. And we're going to say OK. And right now it's set at 0 by default. This is kind of going to be like a true-false type variable, like a Boolean variable. And so we're going to set this initially let's start at the start of the game. Set can jump. We're going to set it to 0, meaning that you can't jump. If it was at 1, then that's like a true statement, meaning yes, you can jump. You're allowed to jump. Okay, that's how we're going to use this variable. Now, it doesn't do that automatically, but we're going to tell it to do that. So when is it that you can jump? We're going to set can jump to 1 as soon as it hits the ground here. So as soon as it drops to the bricks, we set drop speed to 0. We're going to also set can jump to 1. Okay. Now, we are now going to have to put in some code with our space key. So I'm going to, right here, we're going to put in some code to check to see if you're able to jump and not just automatically jump. So under control, we're going to grab an if statement, put that around there, and we're going to grab the variable can jump, and we're going to compare that with the equals. If can jump is equal to 1, meaning that you can jump. So if you can jump, then we're going to set the jump speed to 0. Okay. Now, as soon as we jump, we actually want to set can jump to 0. Why? Because we don't want it to be able to jump again. So you press space. Yep, we can jump. Can jump is 1. Now it's 0. So now when we press space again to double jump, we won't be able to. Okay. In fact, we don't want it can jump to be 1 ever again until we hit the brick again. And so we're going to have to put that code in here. Make this a bit smaller so you can see it. And so when do we hit if touching brick, set drop speed to 1, and that's where we're going to set can jump. Sorry, we set drop speed to 0, we set can jump to 1, meaning now you can jump. Okay. Let's see how that works. So we'll run this. By the way, all these variables up here, we're going to eventually get rid of them. Right now, while we're not going to delete them, but we'll get rid of them so you don't have to look at them. Okay, so you can see it flips around, and you can see can jump when you land on the brick, it's 1, but when you're in the air, it's 0. So if you try to double jump, just won't work. Okay, so now we fixed that. Now the next thing we're going to do here is when this thing lands, we're going to tell it to go to the closest angle. Now I'm going to explain what I'm doing here, but it's really it's kind of difficult to understand unless you see the visual of it. And I can certainly show you that in class, the visual of it. But it's a little harder to do that here. So when it touches the brick here, in this bit of code here, we set the drop speed to 0, the can jump to 1, meaning we can jump again. That we also want to change its orientation so that it's either at 0, 90, minus 90, or 180. Minus 90 is like 270. And so one of those angles, the normal angle it sits as is 90 degrees. If we go to the player here, you'll see that if you click on direction, 90 is the way it normally faces, 0 is up top, minus 90 is over on the other side, and 180 is this direction. So, how do we make it so that it lines up perfectly? Excuse me. Well, this is the code we're going to put in here. We're going to do a whole bunch of comparing what angle it's at, and then set it to the closest angle. Alright, so I'm going to zoom, I'm going to do the code down here. It's just going to be a bunch of if-else statements. In fact, it's going to be 3 of them. So if we go to control, we bring out an if-else statement. We're going to bring another one out and put it inside the else part. And then bring another one and bring out the else part. Now, is there another way to do this? Perhaps there is. I can't think of one off the top of my head that's going to be simpler, but let's figure it out. So under motion, you'll find a thing called direction. There's X and Y position, but also direction. You're going to bring out a lot of these. Actually, you're going to need 6 of them. You could bring one out and duplicate it, but whatever, it's pretty easy to do that. And we're going to compare this to a bunch of angles, so we're going to just check to see if it's greater than or less than a bunch of angles, and we're going to do that 3 times. So, greater than, less than, greater than, less than. Oh, I didn't grab less than. Okay. So we have those 3 things. Now, it's going to have to check both of these. Now, this is where it gets even a little more complicated. We're going to check to see, we're going to use this AND operator. And this is, again, more about Boolean logic, but we won't get too much into that in this class. But the first part here, greater than 50 or less than 50, we're going to check to see if the direction is greater than 50 or less. Oops. Well, it's going to go in there, so I'll put it in there. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so you can see my code here. So we're going to check to see if the direction, once it lands on the brick, if it's greater than 50, less than 50. Well, 50 is not actually where the cutoff needs to be. We're going to go from negative 45 to positive 45. If it's in that range between, so if this is 0 straight up, negative 45 and positive 45, we're going to see if it's in those ranges. If it is, then we're going to set direction to 0. So under motion, we can go point in direction 90. We'll change that to 0. That'd be straight up. So if, essentially, if it falls in between negative 45 and positive 45, or somewhere in that range, we're just going to say, no, you're at 0. Because it's a square, this makes sense to have that. Let's do that for the next one. So again, we need an AND operator. Put that inside there. Put this direction. I'm going to set these up too. So I'm going to do the same thing down here. So I may as well set it all up. Okay. Now, the next thing is between 45 here and all the way down to negative, or 45 and 35. And if it's in that range, we're going to have it at 90 degrees. All right, so we're going to say greater than 45. Now you'll notice that this is less than 45. And so if I say greater than 45, then if 45 degrees happens, it won't know it, it won't compensate properly. So I'm going to make this 44. So greater than 44 means it'll include 45 as well. And I'm going to say 135 here. Okay, so if it's in that range, we're going to point in, I just duplicated that, well, we're going to point in the direction of 90. Okay, and the last range is if it's between 35 and negative 35, then I want it to go to 180. Okay, so let's see if we can figure this out here. So if it's greater than 135, now again I had 135 here, so let's make that 134. So it includes 135, and less than a negative 135. Then I want this thing to be pointing in the direction of 180. So if it's between here and here, I want it right in the middle. And the last one, otherwise, if it's not pointing this direction or this direction or in this direction, because it's not in those ranges, then I want it to be pointing in the negative 90 direction. Now this seems like a lot of complicated kind of code. Hopefully you understand the logic behind it. All of this is just to settle that player in one of the locations, 0, 90, 180, or negative 90. Now where do I put this is the question. So I'm going to zoom out here. So hopefully it seems. So I'm going to take this code, and I want to put it just after the can jump turns to 1, because that's when you're touching the brick. So I only want it to change. So notice here, we'll put it below the set can jump and drop it in there. Now this is kind of hard to see what's going on here, but let's just see if that actually does what we're hoping it does. So let's run this game again. So now I'm hoping that it only ever is completely, well in this case, because we're only flipping basically 180 degrees, it'll only be one side or the other. And that seems to be working quite well. So what if I just jumped? Oh no, it just stops. Never mind. Okay, good. So now if it landed at a higher brick at some point, then and it doesn't do a full half rotation, it might land on its face, like on a quarter rotation. So this code will help make sure that it lands on its side flat. Okay, let's move on. The next thing I want to do is add some spikes that we're going to jump over. So we're going to create, actually I think I want to make it very similar to the size of the player or the brick. And so I'm going to just duplicate, well, no, it doesn't matter actually. Let's make a new one. I just want to make it about the same size. So I'm going to make some spikes. Oh, these are tiny lines again, aren't they? Let's go to 5 at least. Okay. Okay. Does that look like spikes? I feel like it could look better. If you click on this one here, the reshape one, I'm going to make one of the spikes a little lower, so it looks more like a spike. And I would like to color this thing, so I don't know what, maybe a red spike, so you know it's bad news. I don't know if this bottom here is very flat. I don't think it is necessarily, but I think it'll be okay. And again, I want to center this picture in the center of the page there. So you can see on this picture over here that this sprite, which I'm going to call Spike, maybe Spikes, you can see it's about the same height of this character. Now I want to probably place it so that it goes along top of the bricks, and so I need to know where the bricks are. So I'm going to actually just run my game, and once I press stop, the bricks will go, but my player is at the height of the bricks. So now I can line this up so that it'll look like it's on top. Okay, so I like where it's at right now. If I go to my code, I'm going to grab when the green flag is clicked, and this should now, you should start being able to anticipate what kind of code we're going to put here. When the green flag is clicked, we're going to hide it. When do we show this? Well, when we receive level 1, we're going to show, and this could be, if you wanted a whole bunch of spikes, you could use a clone. I'm going to show you how to do it, not doing the clone, but just having it up here. And so again, I put it to that height so that, not so that it would appear right here, but that if I grab the go-to XY, that the X would be in the right location. So negative 150 for my particular one is a good location. Sorry, negative 86Y location. That's a good vertical location. And for the X, so negative for the X, let's say we had it over here somewhere out of view. Let's say there. You can see that that location for the X would be 244. So I'm going to use the 244, and I'm going to get rid of this one here, and the negative 86 from the other one for the Y. Now I want to go to that location in level 1, and I probably want it to show, but I'm not going to show right away. Okay. So I'm going to wait a few seconds before I get things going here. And if I do create this as a clone, then I could, I wonder if I should just create it as a clone. Yeah, maybe I will. Then it'll just have more control. So, but I'd like to wait a little bit here. Let's wait, say, I don't know, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, doesn't matter, before we start putting the spikes down, because you want to get the player enough time to realize that the game has started, and before we start doing that. So we're going to wait 4 seconds, something like that, and then we're going to repeat until, and we're going to create a clone of yourself, and we don't want to create obviously a clone every as fast as it can, so we're going to wait. Let's do every 3 seconds for now. Okay, so and this go to location thing, actually I'm regretting putting it there. Let's put it when I start as a clone. So when I start as a clone, then we're going to go to this location. And right now it's still hidden, so when we go to that location, we're going to show, and then we're going to do that repeating. We're going to basically do the same thing as we did with the brick, where we repeat that location. So I'm actually going to take that code and put it into the spike, or you can just let me make that smaller. You can also just grab all that information. Now -240, I don't know for the spike if that's going to be a good value. -5, you want that to be the same as your brick so that it looks like it's attached to the brick. And delete this clone at the end is a good idea. So let's just see what happens now. And okay, so we drop. And we hit the spike. Yeah, potentially. Right now I haven't told the program to do anything when we actually hit the sprite. And so that will be the next part of this game so that we can avoid getting hit by it. I'm going to put that actually in the player. So go to the player sprite. That's where all this complicated code is. We're going to put in code under events. When I receive level 1, we're going to wait until you actually, so that's under control, wait until, sorry, I can zoom in a bit here so you can see. When I receive level 1, wait until is right here, until touching the spike. So touching mouse pointer, put that in, change mouse pointer to the spikes. And once we're touching the spikes, we're going to create a sound, at least a sound effect for now, and we'll broadcast the game's over. So let's go to sounds. Right now it's a pop sound. I think we can find a better one. Let's go to effects. Let's go down to, yeah, I'm going to use oops. So we're going to use that one. And go to the code. Under sounds, we're going to say start sound oops. Okay. And then we're going to go to events and we're going to broadcast game over. So that's a new message. I'm going to call it game over. Okay. In this game, it's just you get hit by the spikes, you're done. I didn't check to see if I can jump over the spikes, but we'll check that out in a moment here. Okay. Now game over doesn't do actually anything until we tell it to do something. And so we're going to actually create a backdrop that's a game over screen. So create a new, we'll choose a backdrop that looks game over-ish. Oh, here, stars. I'm going to use stars. I'm going to call that one game over. It's the game over screen. Okay. I could have just called it game over. That'd be fine too. And on here, I'm going to put in some text. Now, right now it's red. I'm going to change it to white or maybe silver. Do white. Game over. Click off it so I can make it the right size. It's a little big. Okay. That's good. That gets the message across. It's game over. And in code, when I receive, so I'm going to duplicate this one. When I receive game over, then we're going to go over to the game over screen. Like that. Alright, now if I run my game, and I'm going to do the full screen here just so it's easier to see. Okay, we drop to the ground, press the space key, we can jump. Can I jump over it? Yep, I can jump over the spike. If I hit the spike, it's game over. Okay, good. Now, there's a bunch of things we're going to clean up here, just so that this looks a little bit better. The can jump, the jump speed, the drop speed, I don't want any of those showing, so I'm going to go to variables, and I'm going to uncheck them all. What I would like to have here, though, is some score. And the way I'm going to score this game is the longer you, essentially the longer you play or you stay alive, the more your score goes up. So maybe every second your score goes up. So we're going to go to player again and put that in here. I know the player has a lot of code in here already, but let's put a little bit more in here. So let's put some new code in under events. When I receive level 1, we're going to set score. We don't have a score yet, so we're going to make a variable. We're going to call it score. I put a capital S, it doesn't matter, but up here it's going to be capitalized there. So we're going to set score to 0 initially when we start the game. And then we're going to actually, we should hide it. We don't want score up there at the very start. So at the very start, let's hide variable. Let's do that right at the start. Hide variable score. But then when we go to start the game, we're going to show variable score. And that'll just show up there. Okay. And then we want to keep score going, and so we're going to keep increasing it. So go to repeat until. Repeat until, and in this case, we're going to repeat it until we could do it until we change to the game over screen. That would be fine. Or we could do it until we're touching the spike. That would also be a good. Let's do that one. If we have any glitches, we'll change it to the other. But for now, we'll do touching the spike. Spikes. So repeat until touching spikes. And what are we going to repeat? We're just going to keep, well, every second. So maybe let's wait a second. We're going to change the score by 1. So now if we run our game, the score doesn't show up there. But as soon as we start it, score's there, and we're 1, 2, 3, 4. And as soon as we touch it, boom, game over. Okay, I see our score keeps going here. So we have got to... oh, I guess it didn't sense it. So instead of touching spikes, we're going to do until... Let's go under sensing. Backdrop of stage. So here, I'll make this so you can see it hopefully. Backdrop number of stage. We're going to... right now my backdrops... Level 1 is backdrop number 3, and 4 is game over. So 3 is the one. And let me go back to the code of the player. Okay. Bring out the operator equals. And we're going to say, put that in there. Now 3 is the one that our level 1 is on, and 4 would be game over. So we could say repeat until backdrop of stage equals 4, but we also might want to have it so that when we win, we have a different backdrop that says you win. So let's just say not 3. So it's kind of weird, kind of a logic, but it's not that weird. But we're just saying repeat until the backdrop is not 3. So keep doing it while it's 3, but when it's not 3, done. Let's just see if that works. Sometimes I've noticed you have to put a delay in here, so we're just going to see if it automatically stops. So I press play. Yeah, it stopped right away. Okay, so I've noticed this in Scratch, that sometimes this code will run before the actual backdrop changes, and so in this case we need to just put a slight delay in this scoring, and which makes sense really. You shouldn't be getting score until you touch the ground there, and I think, how long did we wait? 2 seconds? Wait 2 seconds and then fall? Yeah, so really you shouldn't be getting points right off the bat anyway. So let's wait a couple seconds before we even show it. How about that? And that will give this thing enough time, this program enough time to. So score 0, 1. Yeah, that's nicer. And now when it hits, oh, it still counted up 1 more. I guess it was still in that loop. I have an idea to make it look like you didn't get an extra point there that you didn't deserve, and that is just switching the order of these 2 things. And that should do it. Let's double check. Now you start off with a 1, unfortunately, but yeah, then it stops there. It's nicer to stop there. We could have this thing wait maybe another. Well, we could actually do this. We could actually put a wait 1 second. This is just kind of the fine-tuning of things. But that way you wait a second before. You'll just have a slightly nicer look to the game when you run it. Not a huge deal. Let's see, the score is 0, then it's a 1. Yeah, so it's a little nicer there. You can see score 0. Okay, so that's the code there, and you can see that it's kind of overlapping this code, which we don't want. Okay, so we have a score. Now there's a whole bunch of other things that we want to stop. Like we want the bricks to stop stop appearing, and we want them all to just be deleted. So when we receive game over, we're going to delete the clones of all the bricks and the spikes. We don't want to keep them being generated. So I'm going to show you how to clean that up. Let's start with the bricks. Okay. When I start as a clone, we're going to repeat until. Now I want to use that same code that I used for the in the player. So I'm going to go to the player here. The same not backdrop thing. So I'm actually going to take that code and drop that in the, oh, it's going to be awkward with me, is it? Let's make this a little bigger here. So I want to drop that in the brick. I want to drop that in the spike. And I might want to have, no, that's probably it. I'll use it in the player again. So I'm going to stop the game here. In the brick, now I have that little bit of code. I'm going to put that in the repeat. So now it says repeat until not backdrop of stage 3. Creating the clones. I know for that I'll have to put a wait of 1 second there at least. I mean, it could be wait 0.5 seconds, but I'm going to want to put a wait a little bit of time there. So I'll put that in there. That means the bricks aren't going to appear right away, which might be a problem. We'll find out. But otherwise, this might not happen. And then I also want to put in here when I receive game over, we want to delete the clone. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's just see. So the brick, yeah, okay. There's a bit of a problem when we hit the spike. Yeah, good. Delete all the clones. Nice. Okay, that's good. Let's go back here. Okay, nice. The spikes, I also want to do a very similar thing. So the spike, I brought this in here. Now this waits 4 seconds, so it should be fine. We might want to add that to 5 seconds now that we're kind of shifting everything. And then when I receive, so I'm going to go back to the brick. When I receive game over, I'm going to put that in the spike. It likes to jump over a lot here. There we go. I put that in the spike. So now that code's it. Oh, that code's in there as well. So the spike should stop happening as well. And then the only other thing is this player. Now this player drops a little bit quick now. I might change this to 3 seconds before. Oh, sorry. Let's go. Let's go to here. Wait 3 seconds before it drops. I think that'll be okay. And here repeat until now this. Where did I have it here? I'm going to duplicate this thing. And I'm going to scroll on out because I want to see all my code here. So this not backdrop of stage equals 3, I'm going to put that in here. I think that'll work well. And everything else should be good, yep. And then when I receive game, or when I broadcast game over, do I need to do anything? I kind of want it to explode, the player, and so I should do an animation after this. So let me just see if there's any other glitchy things. So right now my player will just hopefully it'll land on the bricks here. Yeah, that's good. If I hit a spike, everything disappears. Good. Oh, except for that guy came through. That's sad. That might happen once in a while. But I would like my player to explode. So let's see if I can do that. So I'm going to go to the costumes. And here I'm going to show you how... Let's go up there. I'm going to show you how to animate an explosion. So I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. I'm going to duplicate the first costume. And I'm going to call this one Explode 1, something like that. So this is just costume 1 and then Explode 1. Now, to explode, I'm just going to have it break apart in pieces here. And I think I can just cut this thing. It's a vector right now. Oh, that's not what I wanted. It's a vector right now, so I could just warp it out. I could make it really... I wonder if I should... I was going to have it just cut in bits and explode. But I could really stretch it until it pops. No, I think I'll cut it up. So I'm going to see if I can actually cut this thing up. I can't cut it up in this mode. If I convert this to... Now, I want to keep this one as a bitmap, but sorry, as a vector, but this one I can convert to a bitmap. And now this one still is a vector. This one's a bitmap. You can see it's more pixelated, which is totally fine because it's going to explode. I'm going to select half of it, like this. And where it is currently is important. It's supposed to be right in the middle of the... of the plane here, or the drawing platform. So I'm going to just take it and separate it a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to take this one and do the same thing. And then I'm going to take it in half like this and bring that half up and bring this half up. Okay. So that's the first part of my animation of it exploding, just into quarters. Then I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to call this one, it's going to be called Explode 2, which is good. And now I'm just going to slowly bring this up. Basically, I'm moving. Now, it doesn't have to be super gradual. But I'm separating all these pieces. And each one of these pieces I've moved now further away. I'm also going to break each one of these up now, which is... Sorry that you have to watch this, but... it could be okay. I'll just break it up like that. Try to keep it simple. Alright, and it doesn't really matter too much how you do this, because or like how much you're separating them doesn't have to be exact or anything like that, because it's basically just a an explosion. So now I'm duplicating that. Explosion 3. Now they're going to be even further apart. And this will probably be the last little bit of animation before they're done. I don't need to separate these into tiny, tiny chunks, but I may as well do a little bit of that. Because why not? It's kind of fun. So I'm just taking the top half, separating that further. And I hope this isn't hurting your brain as far as the part where I'm not really being super careful to split it exactly in halves or whatever. It's not, I don't think it's going to be that important that it's perfectly done that way, because it's going to be so fast that people aren't even going to hardly tell. Okay, let's just try that. And the last, maybe I'll duplicate it one more time, because I'll just delete everything out of this. Something like that. So Explosion 4 is just a blank sprite. Now let's just see how this works. Also, I'm going to want a sound. Now I have oops already there, but I'm going to actually add another sound, another effect, and one that kind of sounds like a pop. Well, the pop is good, but something that's a little... Oh, glass breaking's good. I'm going to do that one. So glass breaking is going to be nice because it's kind of like it's breaking apart. So how do I do that? Well, I want the sound effect of, okay, oops already happened. And I might need a bit of delay before it breaks. And so I'm going to put that in there just so that, I don't want to wait a full second, but just so that maybe half a second, just so the oops and the glass breaking don't happen at the exact same time. And I'm going to say start sound glass breaking, and then I'm going to animate. And how am I going to animate? I'm going to switch. I'm going to go to the next. Where is this? Oh, it's under looks. Sorry. Under looks, there's one called next costume. So I'm going to go next costume, but I'm going to do that. Well, essentially, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So actually, I can put that in a repeat loop. I could do it just put down 4 next costumes, but I'm going to repeat it 4 times. Next costume with a little bit of delay in between. I don't want a full second because that's not going to look right. But let's go 0.2 seconds, just see what that does. So let's see how this looks. So I'm going to play. It's going to drop to the bottom here. Oh, okay. I gotcha. I told it to, well, right now it's in the costume, the 4th costume. So I need to actually tell it at the start of the game which costume to start in. So I'm going to do that. Look at all this code we got on here. So at the start of the level, maybe here, I'm going to, right here, I'm going to go to looks and I'm going to say switch to costume. Just before I show, I'm going to say switch to costume 1. Let's try that now. So there it is. It's going to fall right on the brick. As soon as it hits the spike, I'm hoping it... Okay, the animation is a little bit choppy. I don't know if it's showing up for you guys, but it's okay. I feel like we don't need to wait so long. Let's go 0.2 here and change this to 0.1. Okay, let's check that out. Now the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to okay, the delay is hilarious. Let's not put a delay in there and just see what happens. Yeah, I'll throw the delay out. What we're going to do is we're going to now put a score to break, so that, or not break, but if you get a certain score, yeah, okay, that's better, that's better. And that brick sometimes appears. I don't know if we'll fix that glitch in this video or not. Okay, so I'll just look at it just for a second. Create a clone of myself, wait, and then repeat. Yeah. So there's a chance that that's, yeah, okay. I'm not going to worry about that glitch for right now. Okay, what I do want to do is, what do I want to do? Oh yeah, if you can win the game. So let's put in a score here. Again, this is, I'm going to put this in the player thing. Could be a lot nicer to have it not in the player thing because everything's in there, but let's, oh well, it's already in there, right? The score is already in there. We're going to wait until, so you can see here for the losing that it's wait until touching spikes. So it's gonna be a similar kind of thing. I can actually duplicate this, but it's not gonna all be the same. For instance, we're not gonna have all the glass breaking, all that stuff, and repeating all that. So and we're not gonna have an oops sound. And we're not going to broadcast game over. So not waiting until touching the spike. We're going to wait until your score is a certain thing. Now, repeat until change score. Actually, let's put it inside here. Sorry, I did all that for nothing. Change score by 1. Let's go if This is go control. If then, we're going to put that right underneath the score, right there. And the wait 1 second we can put after. So we're going to just check to see if your score is, so go to score, if it is greater than 9, that means it's 10. And again, you can set this to something other than 10, but I'm just going to do 10 for now just to test it. Sorry, 9. So that means the score must be 10. So if score is greater than 10, then we're going to broadcast that you've won. So events, broadcast, instead of game over, we're going to say new message, game 1. Okay, so game 1. And once game is won, then we want to do some similar things, like we want to stop all the things. So we're going to create a game 1 screen. The winning screen is going to be, let's do a heart for the winning screen here. And I'm going to put some text in it. And let's just say, you win. Something like that. Okay, let them know that they won. Put it like that. Something like that. And we're going to call this one Game 1 Screen. Okay. And so here under code, I'm going to duplicate the game over screen or code and just change it to game 1. We'll change it to the game 1 screen. Like that. That'll work. That will control the background correctly. Now in the player, no, not the play button, the player, when we broadcast game 1, we are going to, I think we should just keep the player there, not make it explode. We want to stop the score, so I think it'll be fine because the backdrop will change. I think that will be fine. Let's just see what it does here. I don't know what all things we're going to have to change. Let's just see. So I might have to jump this one spike here. Oh yeah, I had to jump it twice. So you win, but then I lost. Okay, so we got to make everything else disappear. Mainly the spike has to disappear. That's the big one. So that we don't lose right after we win. So let's go to the spike and just take a look. Repeat until. So we might want to do it in here. When I receive, let's duplicate that. When I receive game over, we delete the spike, but also when we receive game 1. And we're probably going to want that for the bricks too. So I'm just going to drag and drop that into the brick. Allows me, yep. Okay. Let's try that. Maybe that's all we had to do. Okay, so we can jump. Oof, that was close. Good. So maybe some sound, be like, you're awesome, and maybe like spin this guy here would be nice too. How about we do those two things, then we'll be done. So let's go to the player. Just gonna stop it right there. If score is greater, broadcast game 1. Let's play a sound, so let's get to the sounds. Let's create a new sound. Effects, there's gotta be like a celebration, like maybe a cheering one. No. I'm gonna find one where everyone's super happy. Wobble. Okay. Whistle. Maybe this will be like a human voices. Maybe they're cheering. Oh, goal cheer. That sounds good. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Okay, let's do that. Goal cheer. So I'm going to go to code, and in here we're going to put in the sound. Play sound goal cheer. And then I'm going to actually, I'm going to have it spin around. So I'm going to do a repeat a bunch of times. We're going to spin you around, maybe spin around slowly. So let's go to motions. Let's go 15 degrees. And maybe just a full rotation. Actually, let's turn 15 degrees. I'm tempted to spin it around so you're facing forward. So let's first spin it around a bunch, and then, excuse me, and we're going to repeat until you're pointing in the right direction. So repeat until, oh man. Will this work? We'll find out. Yeah, repeat until angle, or direction, I mean, is, I think we'll need two directions. I don't want to make this more complicated than it has to be. There's a chance that you'll win the game while you're in the air spinning. And so I can't assume that you're in one of those four directions. And therefore this doesn't make any sense to do. So I think we'll just spin you a bunch. And then at the end we'll just point you in that direction. Point you in 90 degrees. Okay. This might look kind of dumb. We'll see. Find out. So 10 times 15 is 150 degrees of spinning. Probably that's not going to be very great. Guess I got to win this game. I should have made the points a little bit easier. I don't know. That looks okay. It's not the best, but it's all good. Okay, so you can win this game and you can lose this game. And this is the basic geometry dash, but we're calling it square dash game. And the only other thing I said we'd put a, oh yeah, there's that square again. The only, we should almost make that block, that one, turn into a frowny face or something like that. The only other thing is, or sorry, from this point is you should now make it into a much better game. Add in some features, add some, maybe you can shoot the spikes if you collect a bonus or something like that, or have it so you can double jump, or whatever you want. The only other thing is I want to put in a couple, like a frame around this game a little bit. Now hopefully I don't have anything in here, but just so that those bricks don't look like they're out of place when they disappear and they reappear. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll be done. So what are we going to do? Well, I think the easiest way to do this is just to make a sprite that goes around the whole, like kind of frames everything in. So I'm going to draw a sprite, paint a sprite, and it's a little bit unfortunate because well, okay, it's going to be gray bricks, and it's going to be what level's going to look like that, right? Okay, so this is going to be called, I'm going to just call it game frame. That's really a good name to call it, but whatever. And it's just going to be a rectangles that go around. Now, if I create this in vector mode, I can change them like this, and I can also I can change the color, which I'm going to do. And I think I'll just make them kind of a dark gray, or darkish gray. We'll see if that looks any good. And I am going to click on this, Control Copy, Control Paste. So now I've made two of them, and I can do the same thing, and then this one I can rotate around. Again, if you hold Shift key down, it'll lock it in at 90. And you can see that these things are going a little bit beyond the you know, they're going a little bit beyond the screen, but that's okay. You're not going to see all that. On your screen, so let me go to here, you're going to want to position it so that it covers your screen properly without going over. That looks pretty nice. Your score, you might want to position that so it's just on the inside. Okay, so that's up to you. And this should be good. Now, the code for this is when the green flag is clicked, we want to hide this. And when we receive level 1, then we want to show it. Okay. Now, let's just see how it looks. It should be, because we created it last, it should go over top of everything. Yeah, it does. Now, your game has an, well, it looks a little nicer because you can't see. Nice. Game over is just small enough that it fits in. And your score is there. Let's just see how game 1 works. I'll move this. Oh, that wasn't clicked on my thing. Wow. Okay, let's hopefully I can win this. Or yeah. Okay. Here we go. So we need 10 points here to win. You can obviously change that. And you win gets put in there. It's nice. The gray looks pretty good with everything. We could make it disappear once you get to game over, game 1 if you wanted to, but it looks fine there. Okay. That is all. That is all. So that is the basic game, and now from here on in, I want you to make it much better. Hopefully now you have a little bit of a sense of how to program in Scratch. Don't forget to save your progress. So right now I'm going to click Save Now. And that's it.